Today's news highlights. Date April 16, 2025. News highlights: China's live organ harvesting documentary State-Owned Organs was screened in Taiwan, arousing social attention. Singer Tang's transplant surgery in China raised questions, and Falun Gong and The Epoch Times have been unveiled for many years and have been apologized and supported by netizens. Medical circles and human rights activists have criticized China's organs for being of unknown origin and suspected of illegal live harvesting, and called on the international community to pay attention to this crime against humanity. News highlights: Chinese Premier Xi Jinping has visited Vietnam, Malaysia, and Cambodia since April 14 in an attempt to rally Southeast Asia against high U.S. tariffs. Experts believe that in order to ensure exports and security, Southeast Asia does not dare to offend the United States. Xi Jinping is difficult to succeed, and China's economy is weak and unable to support ASEAN demand, and the future may fall into diplomatic isolation and internal political turmoil. News highlights: the 94-year-old Buffett's wealth increased by $12.7 billion this year, bringing his total assets to $155 billion. He emphasizes quick correction of mistakes, ownership of assets, key decisions, and long-term investing. Warren Buffett believes that holding high-quality assets for the long term and making smart choices can accumulate wealth and withstand market volatility. News highlights: U.S. President Donald Trump hinted at suspending the 25% tariffs on automobiles and components, which spurred U.S., European and Asian auto stocks to soar, and Taiwan's automotive supply chain also benefited. Despite his flexible attitude, Trump still plans to raise taxes on semiconductors and drugs, and the market still has doubts about his policy direction. News highlights: in 2024, the overseas investment income of listed companies will reach RMB 1,233.6 billion, up 52% year-on-year. The shipping industry was the most profitable due to the increase in freight rates, followed by semiconductors and electronic components. The earnings of listed companies increased sharply, while the on-the-counter companies decreased by 8.7% year-on-year, with the semiconductor industry experiencing the most severe decline. News highlights: in 2025, the market is turbulent, and Buffett has more than $330 billion in cash in hand, maintaining the principle of value investing and waiting patiently for opportunities. During the epidemic and financial crisis in the past, he made good use of the panic to take advantage of the dip, and even repurchased a large number of his own stocks, showing his wisdom against the trend. News highlights: Morgan Stanley raised its second quarter output estimate for Apple's, reflecting strategic stocking. TSMC, Hon Hai, and Li Guang maintained their outperform ratings. News highlights: He Xiaozheng, a 42-year-old former basketball player, seems to have regained his peach blossoms since his divorce, and was recently photographed entering and leaving Songshan High School with an athletic girl with a good figure. They were dressed in Nike couple outfits and quickly left the scene as Takeya Kimura watched their fans. He Xiaozheng maintains a good figure and maintains an intimate relationship with his mother, showing his filial side. Regarding the relationship with the sports girl, the agent said that he did not want to overexpose his private life. News highlights: Chang Rushan, president of Airly Group, abhorred fraud and actively participated in fraud prevention work, setting up the Enterprise National Fraud Team, filming anti-fraud propaganda videos with Commissioner of Police Zhang Rongxing and professional baseball player Chen Zhixian, and conducting large-scale publicity, resulting in a significant decrease in the number of fraud cases and the amount of financial losses. Since the end of 2024, the number of fraud cases has dropped from more than 16,000 per month to less than 10,000 by February 2025, and the amount of financial losses has also decreased by nearly 50%. Through the 100 Kills campaign, Chang Rushan called on the public to report fraudulent drivers and invited more enterprises to join the fight against fraud. News highlights: Artist Yu Hung was convicted of forcible indecency in 2023, and announced his comeback after nearly 2 years of silence, but decided not to act under the name of Yu Hung due to public opinion pressure. Recently, he was found to be serving as an artist training lecturer at the Sanli Performing Arts Academy of the Promotion and Education Department of the Chinese Culture University. In collaboration with Sanli, the program aims to provide students with basic training in performing arts, including physical and language skills, and invites senior directors and actors to give lectures. Although Yu Hung is listed in the list of lecturers, the website states that Sanli TV reserves the right to change teachers, which has attracted attention. News highlights: after 44-year-old Japanese actress Ryoko Hirose was sent to the hospital in a car accident, she was arrested on suspicion of injuring a female nurse and kicking and grabbing the other party, and was also involved in dangerous driving and causing injuries. She was arrested on the 8th and adjudicated to be in custody on the 10th. The drug test results showed that no illegal substances were detected. After the car accident, she was emotionally unstable in the hospital and was suspected of attacking a nurse in a panic. Yesterday, 16th, she was released, dressed in black, and bowed to the media after walking out of the police station. Her company apologized for the incident and said that Hirose was deeply reflective and would be honest and responsible and seek medical assistance. News highlights: actress Xia Yuhi was recently photographed interacting with singer Li Zhenjia, who is 21 years older, and the two staged a skin-to-skin kiss on the street, and it seems that a new relationship has sprouted. According to reports, Xia Yuyi went to a restaurant with Li Shenzhe, Zhang Jiayi, and another man after a party, and the two drank excessively that night. Their eyes were foggy, and they interacted intimately on the street. Li Shenzhe later left alone because he was too drunk, while Xia Yuyi was slightly drunk and was taken care of and escorted home by Zhang Jiayi. News highlights for the first time, Robert Abram, a former commander of the U.S. coalition forces in South Korea, is serving as a senior observer and for the first time as an advisor to the chief of staff. Japanese media personality Akio Yaita believes that this combined with the news that Shigeru Iwasaki, Japan's former chief of staff for reunification, has been invited to serve as an advisor to the executive yuan, it shows that there has been a major change in the military balance around Taiwan. Yaita pointed out that the comprehensive cooperation between the U.S. military and the Japanese military in Taiwan on defense issues shows that the trilateral cooperation between the United States, Japan, and Taiwan intends to strengthen Taiwan's defense, and pointed out that China is dividing Taiwan-US relations, and Taiwan needs to be vigilant. News highlights on the morning of the 15th, the new Taipei District Prosecutor's Office searched the Kuomintang Bangqiao District Party headquarters and the recall group to investigate the illegal acts related to the false signatures in the recall case, and brought back more than 20 people for investigation. Prosecutors found that the roster of proposers for recall involved forgery and violations of the personal information law. After collecting the information, the prosecutor directed a search in many places and brought back the information and witnesses. After the reinterrogation, Xia Qingzi, director of the Bangqiao District Party Department, and 5 other people involved in the case were detained and forbidden to see each other, and the case is being investigated in the direction of criminal law and personal information law. News highlights the United States has imposed high tariffs on China and many Southeast Asian countries, although Trump has suspended it for 90 days, and Taiwanese companies have been in a difficult situation. Taiwanese businessmen in Vietnam and Cambodia have suspended orders and factories are on holiday, and Taiwanese businessmen in China have no choice but to wait and see in the face of the 145% tax rate. The diversified layout of the industry has been destroyed, and the profits of foundry have been greatly compressed, and Southeast Asia is not immune. Taiwan businessmen are anxious to find new production areas and diversify risks, but they have no countermeasures. Experts are worried that it will take time to restructure the global supply chain, which will hit exporters and the real economy hard in the short term. News highlights NVIDIA announced that due to the U.S. government's expansion of restrictions on the export of H20 chips to China, it will recognize about $5.5 billion in expenses for a single quarter. The regulation, which is to be enforced indefinitely, hits NVIDIA's multi-billion-dollar revenue and previous downgrade response strategy. The news dragged down the shares of NVIDIA and Ultramicro after market hours both fell 6%. The U.S. is concerned about chips being used in China's military supercomputers, despite NVIDIA's warnings that excessive controls could encourage China's own development, but the White House has not yet responded. News highlights in response to recent media reports on the wave of retirements of Taiwan military volunteers, Defense Minister Gu Liqiang said on the 16th that the number of retirements this year has not only not increased, but has decreased significantly, and the number of veterans who have served in 10 and 20 years has decreased, and the number of unfit personnel has decreased by 325, and the retention rate has increased by 3.25%. He stressed that the Taiwan military will continue to promote humane management and recruit and retain talent, and will not be complacent because of the current situation. News highlights from the end of April, the Labor Insurance Bureau will successively issue 17 payments, including labor insurance annuity, old farmer allowance, national pension, and other subsidies. Among them, the labor insurance annuity received by the most people will be credited to the account on April 29, and the number of applicants in January this year reached 1.943 million, with an average of about 19,155 yuan per person. The national pension will be paid on the last working day at the end of the month, and the Labor Insurance Bureau reminds those who are eligible to apply as soon as possible, and the funeral benefit must be processed within 5 years after death. News highlights a random injury case occurred at Taipei Shipei MRT station yesterday evening. 40-year-old Lin Nu stabbed 42-year-old Chen Nu in the back with a knife. The police arrested her on the spot, and Chen Nu was sent to the hospital without life-threatening injuries. Experts remind that there are multiple causes of random attacks, and you should pay attention to the 5 warning signs of mental abnormalities. Stay alert when taking the MRT, avoid addiction to mobile phones, and queue up in an oblique station when waiting for the bus to prevent sudden attacks. News highlights a serious car accident occurred in Suejia district, Tainan late last night. A Mercedes unexplained high-speed collision with the bridge pier of the 84-line ramp in Taiwan, and the 50-year-old male driver sprayed the car on the spot and died in the hospital. After the vehicle was hit, it was severely twisted into pieces of iron, and the scene was tragic. The police investigation found no other injured persons, and is clarifying whether there were reasons for the accident such as drunk driving and drug driving. News highlights Japanese actress Ryoko Hirose was arrested for attacking a nurse after a car accident on the 7th, and the drug test confirmed that she did not take illegal drugs, and she was released in black in the early morning of the 16th and bowed and apologized. The company issued a statement apologizing and saying that Guangzhou would be responsible and receive treatment. Japanese media pointed out that this incident has hit the image hard, and some works have been stopped filming, and they are even afraid of being permanently blocked, which has attracted attention. News highlights 72-year-old veteran artist Liao Jun, who faded out of the showbiz after suffering a stroke for the second time in 2018, was recently directly attacked by netizens and appeared in Nantazita Monster Village, wearing Qigong's costume. It turned out to be a comeback for the YouTube show Oh Jishin, and Liao Jun laughed and said, "Retirement is too boring, life is just to do it." He revealed that he is still recovering and his condition has improved, but he does not plan to return to the 8 o'clock file and challenge the short drama to find another battlefield. News highlights US President Donald Trump has launched a semiconductor import investigation and plans to impose a new round of tariffs on the industry, which could hit semiconductor equipment manufacturers hard. According to reports, the three major US semiconductor equipment manufacturers, including Applied Materials, Lam Research Group, and Keeley, lose about $1.05 billion, about NT $34 billion, per year. In addition, Nvidia also announced that it would recognize $5.5 billion, about NT $178.7 billion, related to H20 products, and its stock price fell more than 6% after hours. Although the tariffs have not yet been determined, the semiconductor industry is already facing significant challenges that will impact global supply chains. News highlights the new Taipei District Prosecutor's Office launched a large-scale search operation on the 15th, interviewing more than 20 relevant people and banning 6 suspects from seeing the National Ghost signature case involving forged documents, including Xie Qingzi, director of the Bangqiao District Party Department of the Kuomintang. The case involved the recall of 13 DPP legislators, including So Kai-Huai and Li Kung-Kung, and the names of as many as 500 deceased people were found in the joint list. Behind the case, the Kuomintang Youth Work Association is suspected of being deeply involved and accused of providing a fake list. The investigation highlighted the seriousness of the case and attracted widespread attention. News highlights Oscar-winning actor Kim Hackman and his wife, Betsy, died in February at their home in New Mexico, and the cause of death was related to a rat infestation. Becky died of the hantavirus, Kim died of a heart attack, and a large number of rats and excrement were found in the house, and the rats were determined to be the deadly culprit. News highlights a flight attendant in Japan shared that many passengers would directly grab her arm to signal service, which made her feel uncomfortable. She appealed to respect the boundaries between the workspace and the body of flight attendants by raising their hands or ringing the service bell. News highlights mainland veteran actor Tong Zhengui died at home due to heart failure at the age of 88. She is widely known as Sister Niu, who faded out of the entertainment industry to take care of her husband in her later years, showing deep family feelings, and her son is grateful for her life's love and dedication. News highlights when interviewed, 2 Spaniards were surprised to learn that Taiwan's unified invoice could win up to 10 million yuan, and regretted that they had lost the invoice. They praised Taiwan as safe, orderly, and convenient, and a surprise island in the eyes of foreigners. News highlights 60-year-old Li Qiuacheo and 5-year-old Gao Xingxin have been running in love for 20 years, registered their marriage at the end of 2020, and their wedding photos were recently exposed. Although she has no plans to prepare for a wedding banquet, Li still respects Gao Xingxin's wish to be a bride once, and is willing to make her the best actress, showing mature love and thoughtfulness. News highlights a wave of large-scale recalls broke out in Taiwan, and the new Taipei District Prosecutor investigated a number of cases involving ghosts and signed a total of 20 people. Among them, Song Jianliang, the leader of the dismissal of Li Kung-Kung, appeared at the prosecutor and wore a Nazi armband, holding Mein Kampf and performing a Nazi salute, which caused shock. The Kuomintang urgently cut it, saying it was a personal act. News highlights in response to a number of actions to remove the Green Committee, the Kuomintang Youth Army and a number of recall leaders were interviewed for falsifying joint signature information, and the prosecutor searched the Bangqiao Party Department in New Taipei and arrested the secretary Cai Ganzi. A total of 6 people were detained, and many others were released on bail, and the investigation of the whole case continued to expand, causing concern. News highlights Superintendent Chen Zhu was hospitalized due to influenza, accidentally found a kidney tumor and underwent surgery, and suffered a stroke before being discharged. The DPP Legislative Yuan summoned KG Unming to visit the South on the 15th, and was full of emotion, revealing on Facebook that he had been determined to defeat the Kuomintang since the 5th grade of primary school, and regarded the general recall action as an opportunity to realize his long-term ideals, emphasizing that he would do his best to protect Taiwan, and wished Chen Zhu a speedy recovery. News highlights Xu Qi celebrated her 49th birthday today and shared a warm photo with her husband Feng Delun, and the two smiled at the cake without makeup and made wishes. She said that today she should officially put on the and slow down and enjoy her own time. Xu Qi showed her true face with nature, and thanked her mother for her hard work and sacrifice, emphasizing that as you grow older, you know how to cherish a simple life, let go of obsessions, and be healthy is the happiest. News highlights China Southern Airlines controversial ultra-thin seats were originally designed to save energy and create more seats, but many passengers complained that the seats were too crowded and uncomfortable, and even called them blade chairs. The seat is only 2 fingers thick, making the space more cramped and uncomfortable for passengers. Japanese experts are concerned that these seats do not provide adequate cushioning when encountering turbulence or landing, potentially causing harm to passengers. News highlights the US government regulates the export of Nvidia's H20 chips to Chinese mainland, requiring Nvidia to obtain a license before selling to China, and the ban will take effect indefinitely, fearing that its products could be used for Chinese supercomputers or military purposes. As a result, Nvidia is expected to recognize about $5.5 billion in charges in its first quarter earnings report and caused its stock to plunge 6%. Although Nvidia recently announced that it will invest $500 billion in AI infrastructure in the United States, it is still questionable whether this move can be carried out smoothly. News highlights the Yunlin County Police Department clarified that when the circular green light is on, the driver can turn left, turn right or go straight without waiting for the arrow light to come on. If you confirm that there is no oncoming traffic in the opposite direction, you can turn left safely. However, due to the fact that traffic rules and enforcement standards may vary from place to place, some drivers have been ticketed for making a left turn, and have complained that the police have misunderstood the rules and even appealed. The Yunlin Police Department stressed that drivers need to follow the signal instructions, and those who do not follow the rules will face a fine of 600 to 180. News highlights 27-year-old Huang Hongxian rose to prominence by starring in the BL drama About Us Who Unknown and the movie I Want to Be With You, and his career is smooth, but he is facing family bad news. He posted on IG that his mother was suffering from stage 4, terminal, colorectal cancer and decided not to receive treatment anymore and chose to enjoy the rest of her time. He said that this was the biggest challenge he can remember, and lamented that life is full of unknowns and impermanence, and his mother's optimism and tenacity have become his greatest strength, and finally shouted to his mother, "You will definitely get better." News highlights Mr. P cooperated with Li Weifeng to open Fengliu Mailatang, and originally trusted the other party's investment promises, but eventually encountered a series of scams and financial difficulties. Li Weifeng did not contribute 1 million yuan as agreed, but only remitted 400,000 yuan, and still failed to solve the problem of losses. In order to allow the store to operate normally, Mr. P not only bore a debt of 1 million yuan for himself, but was also required to repay the money by a partner surnamed Lai. After the business failed, Mr. P lost his marriage, went into debt, suffered from insomnia, and was deeply disappointed in people's hearts, and now he can't even get 500 yuan, which is very painful. News highlights Teresa Teng has passed away 30 years ago, and she is still deeply missed by fans. Recently, the Tokyo warehouse found her unreleased posthumous work, which was written by composer Tsuyoshi Miki and lyricist Toyohisa Araki, and will be included in the Tsuyoshi Miki songbook and released on June 25. In addition, Teresa Teng visited the Little Kinmen Labor Army in 1981 and posed for a photo with an officer and kissed him on the cheek. The officer later made his identity public in 2013 and recalled the surprise and joy of the time. News highlights Japanese actress Ryoko Hirose was arrested by the police on suspicion of kicking and injuring a nurse in the hospital a few days ago, and was originally detained until the 19th, but was released early this morning, 16th. She walked out of the police station in a black suit, with a serious expression and a public apology, but the smile in the car contrasted strongly with her previous haggard expression, which sparked heated discussions among netizens. Hirose and the male agent had a car accident on the 7th, and then he was emotionally unstable in the hospital and kicked and beat the nurse. After examination, he did not use illegal drugs, apologized to the victim of the incident, and said that psychiatric treatment would be administered. News highlights the 2025 Taiwan Information Security Conference, CyberSec 2025, is being held, attracting 400 information security manufacturers from all over the world. The Asset Service Group rose against the trend, and Huahengzi, 6,148, hit a new high, driving Sanshang Electric, 2,427, and Sunda, 6,140, to perform well. Benefiting from the demand for AI and data centers, Daezong achieved a record revenue in revenue. Taiwan's information security industry is expected to exceed the 100 billion yuan mark in 2026, demonstrating Taiwan's strong competitiveness in the global information security market. News highlights Nvidia announced that the US government will control the export of its downgraded H20 chips to Chinese mainland, resulting in the company recognizing $5.5 billion in expenses this quarter. The news affected US semiconductor stocks. Nvidia shares fell 6% after the 15th, AMD fell 7%, Broadcom fell 4%, Micron fell 3.7%, and other related hardware manufacturers also fell. The US government said the export controls would remain in effect indefinitely amid concerns that H20 chips could be used in Chinese supercomputers. News highlights US President Donald Trump announced reciprocal tariffs, affecting China's sea and air transportation and tourism industry. China's foreign trade relies on sea and air transportation, and the United States is China's second largest exporter. The Ministry of Transportation pointed out that some shippers have cancelled bookings, but with the U.S. side suspending the implementation of tariffs, the transportation business has recovered slightly in the short term. If the global trade war triggers a rise in prices, it is likely to change the demand for tourism consumption, affecting the tourism industry and the tourism market. News highlights. According to Bloomberg News, U.S. Republican Congressman Marjorie Taylor Greene sold U.S. Treasury bonds and bought stocks of Amazon, Blackstone, and Tesla before Trump announced the suspension of reciprocal tariffs. The transactions took place on April 8 and 9, coinciding with Trump's announcement of a tariff pause and sparking a surge in the stock market. Democratic lawmakers have demanded an investigation into whether there is insider trading and profiting from market volatility. Greene has always been active in the stock market, and has recently bought semiconductor, technology, and sports brand stocks. News highlights. Yang Hixiang, chairman of Zinda Cement, was recently accused by his wife of absurd behavior, alleging that he spent hundreds of millions of yuan to buy the luxury yacht Albatross and drank and had fun with a hot girl in a swimsuit. Yang Hixiang even docked his yacht in Tamsui, Taiwan, and invited the communication girl to spend time with his underworld friends on the weekend, and posted a photo with the young hot girl on Facebook. Yang's wife said that her husband not only frequently asked for flowers and willows, but also bullied her and her children, which made her feel extremely embarrassed. News highlights. Song Jianliang, the leader of the dismissal of DPP legislator Li Kengkeng, recently wore a Nazi armband and made a Nazi salute gesture during the re-interrogation of the new Taipei Procuratorate, which was strongly condemned by the German Association in Taiwan. The association said the Nazi symbol represented contempt and persecution for humanity, stressing that the act was outrageous and transcended party rivalry and could lead to diplomatic problems. Mr. Song's move was seen as a political expression and criticized as inappropriate. News highlights. This story describes a netizen who was seeing a dermatologist and needed to take off his pants for a doctor's examination because of a white rash on his foreskin. He felt very embarrassed, especially in the face of a female physician and a young female nurse. When the doctor opened the foreskin, netizens unexpectedly had a physiological reaction, and the nurse's words made him feel very uncomfortable, although the final examination results showed that there was no major problem. The incident caused a reaction from many netizens, some of whom questioned his behavior and said that if he felt uncomfortable in such a situation, he should have the right to ask for a return or let the nurse leave. News highlights. Under Trump's reciprocal tariff policy, tech giants such as Apple's Cook and Amazon's Bezos have chosen to remain silent and turn to private lobbying for profit. While publicly silent on Trump's policies, these leaders have used indirect channels such as trade groups and bankers to exert pressure to avoid the risk of speaking out. This behind-the-scenes work reflects how skillfully they protect their corporate interests in an unstable political environment. News highlights. Nvidia announced that its first quarter earnings report will include about $5.5 billion in charges related to H20 chip products. These costs relate mainly to inventory, purchase commitments, and reserves. H20 is the main chip that Nvidia legally sells in China, which is affected by U.S. export controls. Nvidia is expected to report earnings on May 28. Subsequently, Nvidia shares fell 6% in after-hours trading. The move reflects the U.S. government's strict restrictions on Nvidia's chip exports, which could affect its overall growth. News highlights. A fire broke out in Taichung's Dali district late at night on the 15th, killing a 26-year-old single mother surnamed Lin and her 2 daughters. It is reported that Lin Nu gave birth to her eldest son at the age of 16 and was taken care of by her grandmother, while she took her 2 daughters to live with her current boyfriend. Lin Nu is in financial difficulties, has been injured in a car accident and is recuperating at home, and plans to return to work. Unfortunately, she was unable to escape in time when the fire broke out, and the mother and daughter died. The body has been sent to the funeral home and will be examined by the prosecution to determine the cause of death. News highlights. After Da S passed away, the children were taken care of by her ex-husband Wang Xiaofei and his wife Mandy. Although Wang Xiaofei's friends said that they would not bring their families back to Beijing in the short term, some netizens broke the news that Wang Xiaofei and Mandy had been looking at houses in Shanghai, and planned to let their families settle in Shanghai, strive to enroll in September, and cut off contact with the S family. In this regard, Wang Xiaofei's friends denied this and said that his family still plans to study in Taipei. At the same time, Wang Xiaofei and Mandy will hold a make-up wedding in Beijing on May 17. News highlights. According to a survey by Holido, a European travel platform, Taipei topped the list of the safest cities for female digital nomads in the world among more than 200 cities in the world, while Kaohsiung ranked 7th. Taipei's advantages lie in its convenient transportation and strong sense of security, with 90% of women finding it safe and comfortable to walk alone on the streets. In addition, Taiwan has also introduced a digital nomad visa to facilitate long-term residence. Kaohsiung, on the other hand, is an ideal city for digital nomads due to its friendly residents and a whopping 82% of women who find the streets safe. News highlights physician Zhang Jiaming pointed out that the fever experienced by many people during adolescence may be related to the development of cancer or chronic diseases later in life. That's because more than 9 out of 10 people have been infected with the EBV, which is long-term latent in B lymphocytes and can activate when the immune system is stressed, interfering with the immune system and inducing disease. EBV has been classified as a class 1 oncogenic virus and is closely related to a variety of cancers. Zhang Jiaming suggested that the activity of the virus should be controlled through regular work and rest, nutritional supplementation, and stress management. News highlights today, 16th, the temperature in the north and northeast will rise, and most areas will usher in clear and stable good weather during the day, with a maximum of 29 to 30 degrees in the western half and about 26 to 27 degrees in the eastern half. Only the eastern part and the Hengchun Peninsula have a chance of scattered rainfall. The air quality is poor, and the western half and Yunnan need to be paid attention to. The weather will stabilize until tomorrow, 17th, but from Friday, 18th, the frontal influence will bring rain and higher moisture, and it is expected to be hot and humid over the weekend, so you need to bring rain gear when you go out. News highlights: Huazheng, 3202, has stopped trading on the 7th due to failure to submit financial reports within the time limit, and if it fails to submit financial reports within 6 months, it will terminate its listing on November 18th at the earliest. Netizens are discussing what should I do if the stock is delisted. Although the delisting of the stock does not mean that it is completely worthless, investors can still hold it, and if the company does not fail, it may be relisted or pay dividends in the future. Some professional netizens pointed out that the market only means that the stock can no longer be traded, but the company still exists, and the collapse will make the stock become a wallpaper. News highlights: after US President Donald Trump took office, he pushed for the collapse of the US international order, but in the defense of Taiwan, he expressed his intention to join forces with Japan. Akio Yaita, a veteran media person, pointed out that the US military and Japan's self-defense forces are carrying out comprehensive cooperation with Taiwan, including the participation of former 4-star General A. Brown in South Korea as an advisor to the Taiwan military, and the former chief of the Japanese self-defense forces, Shigeru Iwasaki, as an advisor to the Executive Yuan. Despite the global revulsion over Trump's policies, Yaita called on Taiwan to be wary of China's efforts to divide Taiwan-US relations. News highlights: SHINA member Teeman and dancer No Ze have once again become a topic of conversation due to the leakage of suspected dating photos. On the 14th, Korean netizens uploaded 4 photos on the social platform X, which were suspected of capturing the two interacting on the street, and pointed out that Teeman invited No Ze to celebrate together after watching the concert. Although the time and location of the photo have not been disclosed, fans believe that the people in the photo are the two themselves. Taemin's brokerage company said that it was confirming and stressed that it would further understand the situation. Previously, the two had attracted attention due to scandals, especially No Ze's information on the Bubble platform was believed to imply that the two were dating. News highlights: Li Weifeng cooperated with Mr. P to open Fengliu Meilatang, and Li Weifeng had promised to help the store succeed with a celebrity halo, and planned to expand to other cities. However, after the restaurant opened, the operation was chaotic and the accounts were not clear, which eventually led to the closure at a loss. Not only was Mr. P in financial trouble, but he was also physically and mentally exhausted by the extra burden of borrowing, felt cheated and was extremely disappointed in humanity. News highlights: the prosecutor continues to investigate the recall ghost joint signature case, and Song Jianliang, who proposed to remove legislator Li Kengkeng, wore a Nazi armband, performed a Nazi salute and took Hitler's writings when he was reinterrogated last night, 15th, which caused criticism on the whole network. Kuomintang chairman Zhu Liluan said the move was a satire of the DPP's dictatorship, while Taipei Mayor Chang Wanan strongly condemned his inappropriate words and deeds. News highlights: a random stabbing case occurred at Taipei MRT Shipei Station on the 15th, and a woman was attacked by a stranger with a sharp weapon from behind while waiting for the bus, and she bled on the spot. The suspect was suppressed by the public and threw the tools of the crime into the trash can, where the police later found sharp weapons. The suspect, a woman surnamed Lin, is unemployed, has a history of fraud, and is unwilling to disclose the motive for the crime, so she has been arrested for assault and will be sent to the Shilin District Prosecutor's Office for investigation. The victim suffered minor injuries and has been discharged from the hospital. Mayor Zhang Wanan demanded that the case be investigated strictly and police patrols should be strengthened. News highlights today, 16th, Taiwan stocks suffered a heavy fall at the opening, falling more than 200 points in early trading, reaching a minimum of 19,453 points, and TSMC's share price fell to 852 yuan. The main reason is that Nvidia's H20 chip was regulated by the United States, which caused the stock price to plummet by 6% and dragged down Taiwan stocks. Although the National Security Fund has entered the market to protect the market, external factors such as Trump's tariff policy are still key to the volatility of the stock market. Experts pointed out that investors do not need to be overly pessimistic, but they still need to pay attention to the content of TSMC's tomorrow legal conference and future changes in U.S. policy. News highlights the DPP's Legislative Yuan caucus plans to introduce the 15 national security laws, questioning land buy in the Legislative Yuan to block legislators from going to China to manage 319 times. Wang Dingyu, a member of the Green Committee, expressed concern over the frequent rumors of espionage cases involving the Taiwan military, accusing the political and war situation of mishandling and fearing that it would undermine the trust between the military and the people. Defense Minister Gu Liqiang stressed that security checks will be strengthened, and said that no Ministry of National Defense personnel are currently involved in the case. The Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, put forward a proposal to amend the national security law, while criticizing the Blue Camp for failing to face up to the problem of communist spy infiltration, and there are still differences between the government and the opposition on this issue. News highlights after 42-year-old actor Yu Sheng was involved in a sexual harassment case. He restarted his YouTube channel on April 7 and announced his comeback under the name of World Earth Day, but was criticized by the outside world. Subsequently, he issued a statement saying that he would no longer operate under the name of Yuzheng. Recently, it was reported that Yuzheng will serve as a lecturer at the Sanli Arts Academy of the Chinese Culture University in July, offering a 45-hour, 32,000 yuan artist training course. However, Culture University and Sanli said that the information was a misunderstanding, that Yuzheng did not serve as a lecturer, and that the relevant content had been corrected. News highlights the Taiwan Affairs Office of the State Council of Chinese Mainland launched a special column on reporting accomplices for Taiwan independence on March 26, and said that it has received more than 3,000 letters of accusation so far, with detailed contents, reflecting the strong dissatisfaction of people on both sides of the strait with Taiwan independence forces and their supporters. Zhu Fenglian, spokeswoman for the Taiwan Affairs Office of the State Council, stressed that China has jurisdiction over Taiwan and must hold Taiwan independence elements and their supporters accountable in accordance with the law, stressing that the column conforms to the legal basis and is a necessary measure to safeguard the legitimate rights and interests of Taiwan compatriots. News highlights according to a TVBS poll, the proportion of people who support the recall of KMT legislators fell slightly to 28% due to Trump's announcement of a moratorium on tariffs, a decrease of 3 percentage points from February, while the proportion of people who support the recall of DPP legislators increased slightly by 2 percentage points to 32%. 51% of the public were dissatisfied with the government's handling of tariffs, while 48% lacked confidence that the government would negotiate tariff reductions to reduce the economic impact. News highlights according to the latest poll conducted by the Taiwan Public Opinion Foundation, President Lai Ching-te's approval rating for handling national affairs was 45.9%, the second lowest since his first year in office, and his disapproval rate climbed to 45.7%, a new high during his tenure. Huang Yangming pointed out that economic issues are the key factor, and believes that the polls reflect the recoil of the recall and the impact of Trump's new tariff policy. Although last government's initial response to the tariffs has been confirmed, the public is still full of doubts about the follow-up impact. News highlights recently, Song Jianliang, the leader of the recall of the Green Committee Li Kengkeng, wore a Nazi swastika armband and made a Nazi salute gesture, which caused controversy. Kuomintang chairman Zhu Liluan said that the act was a satire of the DPP's vicious dictatorship, calling the DPP the Green Communist Party and emphasizing opposition to tyranny and dictatorship. In response to questions from the People's Party lawmakers, Zhu responded that the KMT would not be affected, and thanked the People's Party for its support and plans to participate in the recall event this Saturday. News highlights U.S. President Donald Trump's reciprocal tariff policy is about to be implemented soon, announcing a 90-day moratorium, and countries are actively negotiating with the United States. U.S. Treasury Secretary Bessent revealed that the United Kingdom, Australia, Japan, South Korea, and India are priority negotiators, and Taiwan is not on the first list. Physician Su Yifeng speculated that Taiwan may not have realized the crisis and mistakenly thought that the talks had been successfully completed. Foreign Minister Lin Jialong responded that Taiwan's tariff negotiations have begun, and the two sides continue to negotiate and provide more data. News highlights Tainan Mayor Huang Weijia announced that an AI recognition system will be piloted in some ATM hotspots from May to remind recipients to show their full faces and prevent fraudulent group drivers from pretending to withdraw money. The system will identify the mask or helmet, and those who do not show their full face will be alerted, and if they do not correct after 10 to 15 seconds, an alarm bell will be activated to attract attention. This measure aims to enhance the third line of defense and reduce the incidence of fraud. The program will be gradually extended to the whole city based on its effectiveness. News highlights the incidence of pancreatic cancer is increasing year by year, and there are no obvious symptoms in the early stage, which is easy to be ignored, and is called the silent cancer king. A 60-year-old woman presents to the doctor with back pain and is found to have a 3 cm tumor in her pancreas. Lin Xianghong, a hepatobiliary gastroenterologist, reminded that if you have symptoms such as abdominal pain, back pain, nausea, sudden diabetes, or jaundice and itchy skin, you should seek medical attention immediately to avoid delaying treatment. These symptoms can be a warning sign of pancreatic cancer, especially if stomach medication is ineffective, and should be treated with caution. News highlights Teresa Teng, a legendary singer who has been dead for 30 years, was recently found to have an unreleased recording of love song Love's Night Mist, created by famous song creators Tsuyoshi Miki and Toyohisa Araki, and is expected to be officially released in June. The song combines Chinese style and 80s Japanese pop style, showing Teresa Teng's natural and lovely side, which makes fans look forward to it. News highlights the CDC announced a measles cluster in Kaohsiung, and a baby boy under the age of 1 was diagnosed with a case outside northern China after seeking medical treatment in the same clinic and has been discharged. The Kaohsiung City Health Bureau listed 172 people, and none of them showed symptoms. People are reminded to stay vigilant, get vaccinated against MMR as soon as possible, avoid travel to endemic areas, and pay attention to travel and contact history. News highlights the Meteorological Department plans to amend the meteorological law to include high temperatures in disastrous weather, and in the future, a special report on high temperatures can be issued for local governments to activate the response mechanism. Director Liu Qiuchen said that the amendment target is to be sent to the Executive Yuan by the end of 2025, and it is expected that sun protection measures will be implemented against high temperatures in the future, and even a high-temperature holiday system will be discussed. News highlights 27-year-old Fubon warrior Shen Haoyai was recently photographed interacting intimately with internet celebrity Shuang Shuang. The two held hands and appeared on the court together, and their relationship was suspected to be exposed. Shen Haoyai drove the woman after the game, and it seemed that the relationship was stable and sweet, which attracted attention. News highlights the U.S.-China trade war heated up again, and the White House announced on the 15th that due to China's continued retaliation, the U.S. tariffs on Chinese goods exported to the United States will reach up to 245%. China's official WeChat account Niu Dankan criticized the move as an international joke, saying that the 245% tariff was a play on words by superimposing the original tariff rate on individual goods, and stressed that the actual change was not much. The tariff conflict between the two sides has intensified, and the prospects for negotiations are uncertain. News highlights it is rumored that the number of crescents of nails can be judged by health, and doctors remind that the size of the crescent moon alone cannot accurately reflect the physical condition, and it is normal for most people to not see the crescent with their fingers. However, if there is no crescent, the crescent moon becomes red, blue-black, abnormally larger, or the nails appear brown and black lines, horizontal stripes, white lines cross, etc. It may be anemia, kidney disease, immune disease, or heavy metal poisoning and other warning signs, and you should seek medical attention in time. News highlights it is rumored that the United States intends to ask foreign creditors to exchange U.S. bonds for 100-year zero-coupon bonds, and Yang Jinlong, the governor of the central bank, said yesterday that if it comes true, it will be equivalent to the failure of U.S. bonds, which may trigger a financial crisis, because U.S. public bonds are the basis for global financial commodity pricing. Yang also revealed that U.S. bonds account for more than 80% of Taiwan's foreign exchange reserves, or about $290.4 billion, and the Taiwan authorities are closely monitoring and adjusting the response. News highlights a netizen shared that during the company's dinner, someone took 30 fried shrimp at a time in an all-you-can-eat restaurant, making the customers in the back queue dumbfounded and scolded on the spot. The post sparked heated discussions among netizens, with one group criticizing the behavior as selfish and tasteless, while the other group believed that as long as the food was finished and not wasted, the restaurant did not limit the number of takes, which was understandable. Most people believe that restaurants should strengthen the speed of refilling dishes or moderately control popular dishes to avoid losing control on the spot. News highlights a female netizen posted on Discord, saying that the landlord had never collected water and electricity bills in the past 2.5 years of renting the house, but recently suddenly asked for nearly 40,000 yuan to pay back, which made her dumbfounded. She questioned whether the water and electricity bills of about 1,300 yuan a month were reasonable, because she worked and attended classes outside the home and had less time to go home. After the post was exposed, netizens thought that the water and electricity bills should be asked as soon as possible, and suggested that she ask the landlord to show the Taishui and Taiwan electricity bills to confirm whether the amount is reasonable and then make up the payment. News highlights artist Yu Hung was sentenced for a sexual harassment case, and recently tried to make a comeback and was criticized, and promised not to act under the name Yu Hung again. However, his wife Sui was exposed to open 36 group purchases in 1 month, compared with the accusation that Chen Jianzhou's big tooth only had 10,000 yuan left in the monthly income, which caused Sophia, the whistleblower of the Huang Zijiao case, to be dissatisfied and criticized the confusion of social values, and netizens also angrily criticized Taiwanese society for not distinguishing between right and wrong. Public opinion often targets the victims, and interests override justice. News highlights Tsai Zhou-Yuman's wife, Yu Hongyuan, although she protects her family in a low-key manner, recently lamented on threads that every family has a difficult experience, revealing her helplessness about social culture. She said frankly that as she gets older, she no longer reluctantly gets along with uncomfortable social objects, believes that life is impermanent, and she should leave time for friends who can support each other and grow positively, and called on everyone to remember this reminder in 2025.